The morning after the drunken confession, I woke up with a crick in my neck, a heavy weight on my chest, and the most terrifying thought of my life echoing in my skull. I'm lying under the Empress of Ethelgard, and she's snoring. Dawn's first light seeped through the study's tall windows, gilding the edges of scattered state documents and the empty jade wine decanter. Alexandria's head was nestled in the crook of my shoulder, her breath warm and steady against my neck. Her hair, usually pulled back in a tight, regal braid, had come loose, a few strands tickling my jaw. And yes, she was snoring. Soft, rhythmic snores that sounded like a baby badger with a stuffy nose. The tyrant snorts in her sleep. This is the most classified information in the Empire. If I leak this, I'll be fed to the royal tigers. I froze, afraid to move. My back ached from lying on the hard desk all night, and my arm had gone under her weight, but I didn't dare shift. What if I woke her? What if she remembered what she'd said? I give you permission to be loud for a lifetime. Lifetime? As in forever? Did that mean I wasn't going to be executed? Or did it mean something else? My brain short-circuited. She's the Empress. I'm a rookie guard. This is impossible. It must be a dream. A very vivid, snoring dream. I tried to sneak a glance at her face. Her eyes were closed, her lashes long and dark against her pale cheeks. The usual frostiness was gone, replaced by a soft, almost vulnerable expression. She looks peaceful, like she doesn't have an empire to run or assassins to dodge. Like she's just a normal person who snores. Just as I was thinking this, Alexandria's eyes fluttered open. Our gazes locked. Time stopped. Her eyes were still hazy with sleep, but they sharpened quickly, like a sword being drawn from its sheath. She stared at me for a long, agonizing 10 seconds, and I could practically hear the gears turning in her head. Is she going to yell? Is she going to order the guards? Is she going to pretend last night never happened? Then she spoke. Her voice was low, still thick with sleep, but clear as a bell. You were thinking I snore like a baby badger. Admit it. My face erupted in flames. I felt the heat crawl up my neck to my ears, and I was pretty sure I looked like a ripe tomato. Your Majesty, I would never. Liar. She smirked, a small, teasing curve of her lips that made my heart skip a beat. Your thoughts are louder than the morning bells. I heard every word. She shifted, pushing herself up slightly, and her weight lifted from my arm. The numbness tingled painfully, but I didn't care. All I could focus on was how close she was. So close I could smell the jasmine in her hair and the faint scent of whiskey on her breath. Jasmine. So that's what Empress scent is. Not dragon's blood or fear. Jasmine. Your Majesty, I stammered. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have. Shouldn't have what? She leaned in, her face inches from mine. Her eyes glinted with amusement. Shouldn't have let me pass out on top of you? Or shouldn't have thought my snoring is cute? Cute? She thought I thought her snoring was cute? I didn't think it was cute. But I can't say that. I floundered, my brain turning to mush. I didn't want to disturb you. You were tired. From the war, and the canal, and the spies. And she cut me off with a soft laugh. It was the same laugh from the night before. Clear, bright, like shattering crystal. Relax, Ethan. I'm not going to execute you. Yet. She pushed herself fully off me, standing up and brushing the wrinkles from her imperial robes. The moment of softness was gone, replaced by the familiar, regal poise of the Empress. But her eyes still held that glint of amusement. Though I would appreciate it if you didn't tell anyone about the snoring. It would ruin my reputation as a fearsome tyrant. I won't. Your Majesty, I swear. I'll take it to my grave. I scrambled to my feet, nearly tripping over the scattered documents. My uniform was wrinkled and covered in ink smudges, and my hair was a mess. I probably looked like a deranged street urchin, not a member of the Empress's personal guard. She'd seen me at my worst, lying under her, covered in ink, panicking like an idiot. This is the lowest point of my career. And yet, she's smiling. Just then, the study door creaked open. 2 handmaids stepped inside, carrying a basin of water and a fresh change of clothes. They froze when they saw me, disheveled, standing inches from the Empress, who was still in her night robes. Their eyes widened, and their mouths dropped open. Oh no, they're going to think I attacked her, or that we did something else. The gossip will spread faster than wildfire. By noon, Everyone will think I'm a seducer of monarchs. I'll be drawn and quartered by rumors before the actual execution. My inner monologue spiraled into a panic. What do I say? Do I bow? Do I run? Do I pretend I'm invisible? Alexandria didn't miss a beat. Her voice turned cold and authoritative. The voice of the tyrant everyone feared. Out. Now. The handmaids jumped, quickly setting down the basin and clothes before scurrying out of the room, their heads bowed. The door slammed shut behind them. Alexandria turned to me, and the coldness melted into a smirk. Military strategy meeting, she said. That's what they'll think. You were helping me plan the defense of the capital. Nothing more. Military strategy? I repeated, dumbfounded. But we were. Sleeping. Details. She waved a dismissive hand. Now, go clean yourself up. You look like you fought at Inkwell and lost. We have a court session in an hour, and I don't want my military advisor looking like a mess. I blinked. Military advisor? Temporarily. She picked up a stray document and flipped through it. Until I decide what to do with you. Now go. And Ethan, I paused at the door. Mom, stop thinking about baby badgers. It's distracting. She didn't look up, but I could hear the smile in her voice. I stumbled out of the study, my heart still pounding. Military advisor. She's making me a military advisor. Because she can hear my thoughts. Because she likes my thoughts. I leaned against the wall, taking a deep breath. The cool stone helped calm my racing heart. Serving a ruler is like living with a tiger. But this tiger likes to snore and doodle turtles and let me lie under her. This is the weirdest job in the world, and I think I'm okay with that. An hour later, I stood in the grand chamber, wearing a clean uniform, thank the gods, and trying to look like a competent military advisor. Spoiler, I wasn't fooling anyone, especially not the ministers, who were staring at me like I'd grown a second head. The court was buzzing with rumors. I could hear snippets of conversation as I stood beside Alexandria's throne, closer than usual, per her order. Did you hear? The Empress kept him in her study all night. He's not just a guard anymore. He's her confidant. The royal astronomer says he's a heavenly envoy, sent to end the drought and tame the tyrant. Heavenly envoy? I can't even tie my boots without help. If I'm an envoy, then the gods have a weird sense of humor. The royal astronomer, still looking like a walking skeleton, his forehead bandaged from the canal dig, stepped forward, bowing deeply. Your Majesty, the heavens have smiled upon us. The drought is ending, the Iron Horde is defeated, and you have found a worthy advisor in Sir Ethan. He turned to me, his eyes glowing with reverence. Sir Ethan, your wisdom is a gift from the gods. We are blessed to have you. Sir Ethan, I'm not a knight. I'm a rookie guard who face-planted in front of the Empress. My inner monologue screamed, but I kept my face neutral. Thank you, Your Excellency. I am merely doing my duty. Duty? The royal astronomer clasped his hands. A duty that has saved the Empire. Tell us, Sir Ethan, what divine insight will you share with us next? What does the heavens whisper in your ear? The heavens are whispering that you're crazy, and that I need a nap. I wanted to say it out loud, but I bit my tongue. Instead, I said, I believe the most important thing is to continue supporting the canal project, Your Excellency, and to make sure the granaries are well guarded. The royal astronomer nodded vigorously, as if I'd just revealed the secrets of the universe. Wise words, divine wisdom. We must do as Sir Ethan says. The other ministers echoed his agreement, bowing to me like I was a royal. This is surreal. Yesterday, they were ignoring me. Today, they're bowing to me. All because the Empress can hear my thoughts. I'm gonna get a big head. A very big, very dead head if I'm not careful. Alexandria watched the scene with an amused twinkle in her eye. She leaned over slightly, her voice a whisper only I could hear. Enjoy the adoration. It won't last, especially when they find out you think the royal astronomer is a crazy old fool. I stiffened. Your Majesty, I didn't. You did. She smirked. And you're right. Now, pay attention. The next item on the agenda is the Solis delegation. They're returning. Solis, I repeated, my mind racing. The kingdom that sent the spy with a pretty face and the curled pinky. The one she executed for being ugly. Are they here for revenge? Or another stupid gift? Just then, the chamber doors swung open. Prince Darius of Solis entered, flanked by his advisors. He looked nervous, his hands clasped tightly in front of him. Behind him, a group of servants carried several chests, presumably more gifts. Please don't let it be another spy, or another pretty boy, or another anything that requires the Empress to execute someone for being ugly. I can't handle the drama. Prince Darius bowed deeply. Your Majesty of Ethelgard, I come bearing gifts of peace, to apologize for the misunderstanding with Mr. Valerius. He was a rogue agent, not a representative of our kingdom. Rogue agent? Sure, and I'm a heavenly envoy. I rolled my eyes internally. Alexandria leaned back in her throne, her expression cold. Apologies are cheap, Prince Darius. What do you want? Prince Darius swallowed. We wish to seal an alliance, Your Majesty. A marriage alliance. Marriage alliance? Who is he going to offer this time? Another spy? A princess? A goat? The prince clapped his hands, and a servant stepped forward, holding a velvet cushion. On the cushion was a small, ornate box. I present to you Princess Alara of Solis, the most beautiful woman in the known world. She is kind, intelligent, and eager to serve as your consort. Consort? The Empress is supposed to marry a princess? From Solis? The same kingdom that sent a spy? This is a terrible idea. Princess Alara is probably a spy too, with a curled pinky and a pretty face. And the Empress will have to execute her for being ugly. Or marry her. Either way, chaos. The box was opened, and a young woman stepped forward. She was indeed beautiful. Pale skin, long golden hair, eyes like sapphires. She wore a gown encrusted with jewels, and a tiara that looked like it weighed more than my entire body. Wow, she's pretty, but that tiara is ridiculous. It's going to fall off and hit someone, probably the royal astronomer. That would be a blessing. Princess Alara curtsied, her movements graceful. Your Majesty, I am honored to be considered as your consort. Her voice was soft and melodic like birdsong. The ministers murmured in approval. She's perfect. A match made in heaven. Think of the alliance. Perfect? She hasn't said a single word about the empire, or the canal, or the drought. She's just standing there looking pretty. And that tiara is still way too big. My inner monologue ranted. Alexandria's gaze drifted over the princess, then to me. Her eyes met mine, and I saw a flicker of something. Amusement? Challenge? She leaned back in her throne, her red lips curving into a smile. Princess Alara, she said, her voice clear and loud. You are indeed beautiful. Your tiara is impressive. Princess Alara smiled, clearly pleased. Thank you, Your Majesty. It was crafted by the finest jewelers in Solis. It shows. Alexandria nodded. But I'm afraid I must decline your offer. The chamber went silent. Prince Darius's face turned white. Your Majesty? I don't understand. Princess Alara is the most eligible bride in the world. Why? Because I'm already taken. Taken? Taken by who? Me? Is she talking about me? My heart skipped a beat, then another. I felt the blood rush to my head, and I had to fight to stay standing. She can't be. She's the Empress. I'm a guard. This is impossible. Alexandria's gaze locked onto mine. By someone who thinks my turtle doodles are cute. Someone who worries about me when I drink too much. Someone who has the loudest thoughts I've ever heard. But I wouldn't trade them for the silence of 1,000 courtiers. The court erupted in gasps. The ministers stared at me, their eyes wide. The royal astronomer fainted. Prince Darius looked like he'd been struck by lightning. Oh my God, she just confessed her feelings for me. In front of the entire court. I'm going to pass out. Or throw up. Or both. My inner monologue was a mess of panic and joy and disbelief. She likes me. The Empress likes me. The tyrant who doodles turtles and fights assassins and digs canals likes me. A rookie guard. This is the best day of my life. And the worst. Because now everyone is staring at me. And the royal astronomer is on the floor. And Prince Darius is going to declare war. Alexandria stood up, her robes swishing as she descended the steps of the throne. She walked toward me, her eyes never leaving mine. The room fell silent again. So silent you could hear the royal astronomer snoring. He'd fainted, not died. She stopped in front of me, her face inches from mine. Ethan, she said, her voice soft but clear. I hear your thoughts. I hear when you worry about me. When you think I'm brilliant. When you want to hold my hand. I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. I do want to hold your hand. The chamber went dead silent. Even the snoring stopped. Alexandria laughed, a loud, unrestrained laugh that filled the room. Good. She reached out and took my hand. Her fingers were cool and slender, and her grip was firm. Because I want to hold yours too. I felt a warmth spread through my body, from my hand to my chest. It was better than any victory, any reward. She's holding my hand. The Empress is holding my hand. I'm never washing this hand again. Prince Darius finally found his voice. Your Majesty, this is an outrage. A guard? You're choosing a guard over a princess. Alexandria turned to him, her expression cold again. I'm choosing happiness, Prince Darius. Something your kingdom clearly doesn't understand. Now, take your princess and your gifts and leave. If you ever send another spy or another perfect bride to my court, I'll send General Briggs to burn your capital to the ground. Prince Darius paled. Why, yes, your Majesty. We'll leave. Immediately. He bowed deeply, then scrambled out of the chamber, his advisors and the princess following close behind. The ministers stared at us, their faces a mix of shock, confusion, and horror. The royal astronomer finally woke up, looked at our clasped hands, and fainted again. Alexandria turned back to me, her cold expression melting into a smile. Well, she said, that went better than expected. Better than expected? I repeated, dumbfounded. You just confessed your love to me in front of the entire court. The royal astronomer fainted twice. Prince Darius is probably declaring war as we speak. This is chaos. Chaos is my middle name. She squeezed my hand. And besides, I like chaos, especially when it involves you. I like chaos too, as long as it involves her. My inner monologue was quiet for once, except for one thought, loud and clear. I love her. Alexandria's smile widened. Finally, a quiet thought, and it's a good one. Over the next few weeks, the empire descended into a state of controlled chaos. Everyone was talking about the Empress and her loud-mouthed guard. The gossip spread faster than wildfire. Some said I was a wizard. Some said I was a god. Some said I'd hypnotize the Empress with my loud thoughts. The Shadow Guard was ordered to monitor me, per Alexandria's request. At first, they followed me everywhere, silent, deadly, and incredibly serious. But after a few days of listening to my inner monologue, which mostly consisted of complaints about the palace's rock-hard bread, the way Alexandria's hair smelled like jasmine, and my lingering fear that I'd accidentally step on the royal cat, the captain of the Shadow Guard, a man named Kale, who never spoke and always looked like he'd just swallowed a lemon, requested an audience with the Empress. I was standing by the study door when he arrived, his black cloak swishing silently. He bowed to Alexandria, his face impassive. Your Majesty, he said, his voice gravelly, I request to be reassigned. Alexandria didn't look up from her documents. Why? Sir Ethan's thoughts are distracting. Kale's jaw tightened. Yesterday, he spent 3 hours thinking about whether the royal cook uses too much salt in the stew. Last night, he worried that the palace garden's roses are more beautiful than he is. This morning, he debated whether it's appropriate to hold your hand in public. He paused, his tone bordering on despair. My men and I are elite assassins, not mind readers of a guard's trivial ramblings. We cannot focus on our duties. I felt my face burn. I do not worry about roses being more beautiful than me. That was a one-time thing. Alexandria finally looked up, and I could see the corners of her mouth twitching. Distracting, you say? Yes, Your Majesty. Kale's voice was firm. If we continue to monitor him, we will all lose our minds. I'd rather face a battalion of Iron Horde warriors than listen to him debate the merits of honey versus sugar and tea for another hour. Alexandria laughed, a loud, unguarded sound that made Kale's eyes widen. She waved a hand dismissively. Fine, reassign your men, but tell them this. If anyone lays a finger on Ethan, I'll feed them to the royal tigers. Slowly, Kale bowed deeply, looking like he'd just been granted a reprieve from a death sentence. As you command, Your Majesty. He turned and left, his steps faster than usual. Alexandria's gaze drifted to me, and she smirked. Honey versus sugar and tea? Really, Ethan? I crossed my arms, pretending to be indignant. It's a valid debate. Your tea is always too bitter. A little honey would go a long way. She stood up and walked over to me, her robe swishing. She leaned in, her breath warm against my ear. Then make me tea tomorrow. with honey. And don't think about how my hair smells like jasmine while you do it. It's distracting. I felt my heart skip a beat. Yes, Your Majesty. Good. She pulled back, her eyes glinting. Now, let's talk about the Iron Horde. They're planning something stupid. I raised an eyebrow. How do you know? Because I heard your thoughts last night. She tapped her temple. You were up half the night worrying that they'd attack the water tower. That's a good thought, by the way. The water tower is the capital's only source of clean water. If they destroy it, we'll be in chaos within a week. My eyes widened. You mean? My thought was actually useful. Very useful. She led me to the wall map, her hand brushing mine as she pointed to the water tower on the edge of the capital. The Iron Horde scouts have been spotted nearby. General Briggs wants to station the entire army around the tower, but that's exactly what they want. It's a trap. They'll draw our army away from the canal, then destroy the sluice gates and flood the capital. I stared at the map, my mind racing. She's right. Briggs is a great fighter, but he's too impulsive. He'll charge right into the trap. We need a better plan. My inner monologue was loud, and I could see Alexandria's lips curving as she listened. Go on, she said. I am listening. I took a deep breath, my thoughts crystallizing. We don't need to station the army around the tower. We need to use the canal. The sluice gates are designed to control the water flow. If we open them at the right time, we can flood the Horde's camp instead of the capital. Briggs can lead a small force to the tower to draw them out, and then we'll release the water. It's a risk, but it's better than letting them destroy the tower. Alexandria nodded, her eyes shining with approval. That's brilliant. Exactly what I was thinking. She paused, then smirked. Well, almost exactly. You also thought that Briggs is a blunt instrument who couldn't strategize his way out of paper bag. I winced. I didn't mean that. Well, I did, but it's true. She waved a hand dismissively. Briggs is a warrior, not a strategist. That's why he needs you. Tomorrow, you'll brief him on the plan. And if he argues, tell him it's my order. And that if he doesn't listen, I'll make him dig the rest of the canal by himself. I grinned. Yes, Your Majesty. The next day, I stood in the war room, facing General Briggs, a mountain of man with a bushy beard and a temper to match. He crossed his arms, his eyes narrowing as I explained the plan. A guard telling me how to fight a war. He scoffed. This is ridiculous. We need to charge the Horde and crush them. Flood their camp? That's cowardly. Cowardly? You're the one who wants to charge into a trap. My inner monologue was screaming, but I kept my voice calm. It's not cowardly, General. It's strategic. The Empress approves of the plan. And if you don't listen, she'll make him dig the rest of the canal by himself. Briggs's face turned red. He opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. He knew better than to defy Alexandria's orders. Fine, he grumbled. But if this fails, I'm blaming you. I smiled. If it fails, we'll both be digging the canal. Together. The plan worked even better than we'd hoped. Briggs led a small force to the water tower, taunting the Horde's warriors until they charged. When the Horde's army was gathered in the dry riverbed below the canal, we opened the sluice gates. The water rushed down, a roaring wall that swept the Horde's warriors away like leaves in a storm. Those who didn't drown surrendered immediately, and the Iron Horde's leader was captured before he could escape. The capital erupted in celebration. Banners were hung, feasts were held, and General Briggs, who had been soaked to the bone when the water rushed through, clapped me on the back so hard I nearly coughed up a lung. You were right, boy, he roared, his beard dripping. That was a good plan. Next time, we'll flood them twice. I don't think we'll need to, but thanks, I thought, wincing as his hand came down on my back again. Alexandria watched from the balcony, her eyes shining with amusement. When Briggs finally let me go, I stumbled over to her, my back aching. See, she said, her voice soft. You're a strategist. Who knew a rookie guard could outthink the Empire's greatest general? I shrugged, grinning. I have a loud brain. It helps. She laughed, then took my hand. Come on, the canal is finished. We're having a festival. And this time, no more drinking until you dance with me. The Canal Festival was the biggest celebration the capital had ever seen. The streets were lined with lanterns, the air filled with the smell of roasted meat and sweet pastries, and the canal was decorated with flowers. Alexandria, for once, had shed her imperial robes and was wearing a simple blue dress. Her hair was loose, and she'd traded her crown for a wreath of jasmine. She looked more beautiful than I'd ever seen her. We walked through the festival together, hand in hand, as people cheered and threw flowers at our feet. The royal astronomer, who had finally recovered from his fainting spell, bowed to us, his eyes glowing. "The heavens are smiling," he cried. "The drought is over, the horde is defeated, and our Empress has found her soulmate." Soulmate? That's a stretch, but I'll take it, I thought, squeezing Alexandria's hand. She smiled, as if she'd heard me. We stopped at a food stall, and I bought her a skewer of roasted chestnuts. She took a bite, her eyes closing in pleasure. "These are good," she said. "Better than the palace's rock-hard bread." I grinned. I told you the festival food was better. We wandered to the canal's edge, where a band was playing music. Couples were dancing, their laughter echoing across the water. Alexandria turned to me, her eyes shining. "Dance with me." I froze. "I can't dance. I have 2 left feet. I'll step on your dress. I'll trip. I'll make a fool of myself. Please don't make me dance. I'll embarrass both of us. I'll fall into the canal. I'll drown. This is a disaster." My inner monologue was panicking, but Alexandria just laughed. "Then we'll both make fools of ourselves." She pulled me onto the dance floor, her hand resting on my shoulder. The music was fast, a lively tune that made people clap their hands. I stumbled at first, stepping on her dress 3 times, but she just laughed and pulled me closer. We danced until our feet hurt, until the sun set and the lanterns lit up the water. When the music finally stopped, we were both breathless, our faces flushed. Alexandria leaned against me, her head on my chest, and I could hear her heartbeat, steady and strong. "I used to hate festivals," she said, her voice soft. "I thought they were a waste of time, a distraction from the work that needed to be done." She looked up at me, her eyes glinting in the lantern light. "But now, I think they're my favorite thing." I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Me too, especially when I'm dancing with you." She leaned in, her lips inches from mine. "Then dance with me forever." Before I could respond, someone shouted, "Look, the fireworks." We turned to see the sky light up with bursts of color, red, blue, gold, reflecting on the canal's water. The crowd cheered, and Alexandria laughed, a bright, happy sound. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her close, and kissed her. It was a soft kiss, warm and gentle, and when we pulled away, Alexandria's eyes were shining. "I love you," she said, her voice clear and loud, so everyone could hear. I smiled, my heart bursting with joy. "I love you too, even when you snore like a baby badger." She laughed, then playfully hit my arm. "Shut up. And for the record, I do not snore." "You do, and it's cute," I thought, and she rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. The next month was a whirlwind. Alexandria announced that she was making me her official consort, and the court, after a few days of shocked muttering, agreed. The coronation was supposed to be a grand, stuffy affair, but I had other ideas. No speeches, no boring rituals, just cake and turtle-shaped cookies. Lots of them. My inner monologue was loud, and Alexandria listened, as always. She canceled the stuffy coronation and replaced it with a feast in the palace gardens. The day of the feast was perfect. The sun was shining, the flowers were blooming, and the tables were piled high with food. The turtle-shaped cookies were a hit. Even the royal astronomer ate 3, and the cake was so big it took 4 servants to carry it. Alexandria stood on a small platform, her hand in mine, and addressed the crowd. "For years, I ruled this empire alone. I thought silence was strength, that showing weakness was a failure. But then I met Ethan. He's loud, he's chaotic, and his thoughts are never quiet. But he's also kind and brave, and he sees me, not as a tyrant, but as a person." She turned to me, her eyes soft. "Ethan Cole, will you be my consort? Will you stay by my side and be loud for the rest of our lives?" I grinned, my voice loud and clear. "Yes, but only if I get to eat all the turtle cookies." The crowd laughed, and Alexandria kissed me, her lips warm against mine. The royal astronomer cried. General Briggs cheered, so loud he scared the birds, and the palace cat curled up at our feet, purring. That night, we lay in bed in the imperial chambers, the moonlight streaming through the windows. Alexandria was curled up against me, her head on my chest. I could hear her soft breathing. She wasn't snoring, at least not yet. This is perfect, I thought, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I'm a rookie guard who fell in love with an empress. Who would have thought? Alexandria opened her eyes, her gaze soft. I heard that. I smiled. Good. She leaned in, kissing me gently. For the record, I don't mind your thoughts. Even the ones about my snoring. Even the ones about the royal cook salt addiction. Even the ones about how you think the palace roses are more beautiful than you. I blushed. I said that once. I know. She smiled. And for the record, you're more beautiful than all the roses in the empire. I felt my heart skip a beat. You're just saying that because you can hear my thoughts. Maybe. She shrugged, then snuggled closer. But it's true. Now go to sleep. Tomorrow, we have to plan the next canal, and you're going to help me. Because your thoughts are loud, and they're mine. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her close. Yes, your majesty. Alexandria, she said, her voice soft. Call me Alexandria. I smiled, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Good night, Alexandria. She hummed, her eyes closing. Good night, Ethan, my loudmouth guard. As I drifted off to sleep, I could hear her soft snores, like a baby badger with a stuffy nose. And for the first time in my life, I didn't mind the noise. Because it was her noise. And it was perfect. A year later, a young rookie guard stood in the sovereign's sanctum, his back straight, his face blank. He was new to the Empress's personal guard, and he was terrified. Everyone had told him stories about the tyrant Empress and her consort, the loudmouth guard who could read her mind. He stood there, silent as a statue, his inner monologue racing. Don't move. Don't breathe. Don't think about anything. If she hears your thoughts, you're dead. She's a tyrant. She executes people for being ugly. She once made a general dig a canal by himself. Don't mess up. Alexandria sat on the throne, doodling a turtle on a state document, while I stood beside her, eating a turtle cookie. I looked over at the new guard, and I could hear his panicked thoughts loud and clear. I grinned, winking at him. The new guard's eyes widened. Oh no, he can hear me too. I laughed out loud, and Alexandria looked up from her document, a smile playing on her lips. Cole, stop scaring the new guards. I shrugged, taking another bite of my cookie. He's thinking about how you execute people for being ugly. It's funny. The new guard turned bright red, his eyes going wide with terror. Alexandria laughed, a loud, happy sound, and tossed her pen aside. Relax, rookie. We don't execute people for being ugly anymore. Only for being spies. And for being bad at digging canals. She stood up, walking over to the new guard, and clapped him on the shoulder. Welcome to the team. And for the record, your thoughts are loud. But don't worry, we like loud here. The new guard stared at her, dumbfounded. And as I watched him, I thought back to the day I first stood in this sanctum, terrified out of my mind, thinking about how the Empress doodled turtles on state documents. Serving a ruler is like living with a tiger. I thought, grinning as Alexandria turned to me, her eyes shining. But this tiger is mine, and she snores like a baby badger, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Alexandria heard my thought, and she smiled. Shut up and eat your cookie, Cole. I grinned, taking another bite. Yes, Alexandria.